Hello there, and welcome to Blaugrana Everything, and welcome back. It's been a minute. Haven't had an upload here since after that loss in the Super Copa final, and there's been quite a bit of football played. Oh wait, I had something after Unionistas. So there was that one upload after the Unionistas victory, but since then, there hasn't been anything. And FC Barcelona has played 2 matches now, one against Real Betis, another one against Athletic Bilbao, and both of them were 6-goal thrillers, one ending as a 4-2 victory for Barca, the other a 4-2 loss for Barca. One played at the Benito Villamarín, the other played at San Mamés. Both of those are very difficult venues to go to, but guess what? Barcelona had to go there because they had to play football there and they had to win there, but they were not able to do that on both occasions. They did it on one occasion, not on the other one. And there is honestly quite a bit of uproar, I would say, within the Kool-Aid-verse. Definitely on social media, people are baying for blood from a man whose name starts with X. I'm talking about Xavi. People want Xavi gone, which I kind of get, but then I kind of wonder if this is now just a sign that the fan base as a whole really just wants to see somebody fired, just wants to see somebody gone, rather than actually wanting to see improvements from the team. Because hear me out here, okay? And we'll talk quite a bit about both of the performances Barcelona had, Betis and Bilbao. But hear me out for a second, okay? Can you honestly tell me that the performances we saw from FC Barcelona on Sunday against Betis and on Wednesday against Bilbao, can you honestly tell me that those performances were not better than what we had previously seen in matches like the Unionistas match I mentioned, or, the match against Osasuna as well in the Supercopa, or Real Madrid, or look, we can even go to that Barbastro match in the Copa del Rey. Are you honestly going to tell me that you didn't see an improvement in the performances? Because if you have seen the improvements that I have seen, then you have to wonder, why do people still want to see Xavi gone? Like, look, I get it. We're out of the Copa, which was like the last actual trophy that you could realistically say we could win this season, right? Because La Liga, we're already 7 points behind Real Madrid. And I don't know if you watched that Real Madrid Almeria match, but yeah. Looking at what went down in there, it's pretty obvious that no one's going to be allowed to close the gap on Real Madrid, okay? So, naturally, Barcelona's last kind of, guarantee at a trophy was the Copa del Rey, where, Real Madrid had been knocked out by Atletico de Madrid. And Atletico de Madrid is more of a beatable team for Barca, which, I hope I'm not made to swallow those words because, Barca still have to go to the Metropolitano to take on Atleti in La Liga, and in fact I just realized Barca still has away trips to San Mamés, Metropolitano and the Bernabeu in La Liga, and the Sanchez Pizjuan as well coming up pretty soon. It's definitely unlikely Barcelona will be winning La Liga, but what I was going to say is the current trajectory that the team is on, okay, looking at the past 2 games, if we can call that a trajectory, if we look at the way the team performed in these 2 matches, and looking at the upcoming fixtures that Barcelona has, which, you've got Villarreal, who are a favorable team sometimes to play because they do open up, and you've got, your Osasunas as well coming up, and Almeria as well, and there is a bit of an opportunity here for Barcelona to, build up some momentum, the kind of momentum that could see them easily finish second. Yes, again I say second, because finishing first, finishing above Real Madrid, that's like, come on, guys. It's a bit too late for that at this point in the season. And with, all of VAR's, what's the word I'm looking for? Interventions. Yeah, let's put it that way. With all of VAR's interventions in a Real Madrid match, it's honestly unrealistic to expect them to drop more than 4 points between now and the end of the season. Like, they still have to play Atleti again. They could probably drop some points there. Anywho, looking now a bit closer at these. Oh, by the way, I didn't give a proper intro to this video, did I? This is the Blaugrana Everything podcast. Welcome if this is your first time tuning in here. It's usually a bit more organized than this. It's less rumbly as well. But I don't know. I think maybe the rumbling might work well this time around because there's quite a few things that, like I said, I've liked about Barca's performances recently. I'm sorry if you are Xavi out. I'm sorry. There are things here that I have liked. There are, of course, also things here which definitely have to change. Now, some of those things, anyway, let's just go straight into it. The things that have to change. We're looking, first of all, at the fact that Barca has kind of made a habit of conceding, not just in the first 10 minutes or the first 5 minutes, but the first actual minute of play. And I don't know about you, but for me, I'm thinking a player is freshest during the first minute of the game. But it seems like during that first minute is when Barcelona's players are, making the kind of errors you'd expect to see in the 99th minute or in the 89th minute. So, it's a bit worrying, and it definitely has to change. It definitely has to stop. Now, the other worry Barcelona has is just it's a bit too easy right now to score a goal against Barca. Okay? Provided you are not a terrible finisher in front of goal. We've still seen some teams get these good ace chances and miss them. But provided you're not one of those terrible finishers, it's a bit too easy to score goals against Barca at this moment in time. And some of it has to do with just some of the blatant errors that are being made by Barca. Like against Betis, for example, we saw the typical miscommunication between Araujo and Iñaki Peña. Now, I don't know whose job it has to be to, be vocal, whether Araujo as the captain has to be like, yo, this is my ball, I'm going to clear it. Or the keeper being, the keeper in the 6-yard box has to take charge and be like, no, anything in this area that high up, leave it for me. But yeah, we saw that mix-up leading to Isco's goal. And just generally, there's look, I like Iñaki Peña. He's a good shot stopper. He's not terrible with the ball at his feet. He's very usable. He's usable with the ball at his feet. But he really needs to command his area a bit better and just have a bit more confidence in himself. And what do I mean by confidence in himself? Most of the time that he comes out to claim a high ball, he will punch it. And the punches usually aren't the convincing types of punches. Like, it's not a big old Thibaut Courtois or, Jan Black kind of punch. It's usually it looks more like a flail, to be honest. I'm not hating on Iñaki Peña. I'm just saying, bro, it looks like a bit of a flail. And when he flails at the ball, it usually doesn't go very far. And, you also get goals like the one that Almeria scored against Barca. So this is something which, like I said, Iñaki Peña just, there's no option. He has to work on it. Obviously, working on it right now probably isn't going to be workable. But in the confidence department, he needs to start getting it into his mind that he can come out to claim those high balls, that he can come out to do more than punch the ball, but to grab it with both of his hands. And he needs to start working on that during training. So the obvious fix to that one issue is most definitely the reintroduction of Ter Stegen, because, once Ter Stegen comes back, although that's going to be late March or something like that, he is quite the vocal leader. He has control of his 18-yard area, and usually, if he's coming out for a ball, basically we'd never see that kind of issue of him and Araujo colliding, right, and leading to a goal for the opposition. We've not seen anything like that happen with Ter Stegen, so we can at least say that's probably one type of goal we don't have to worry about Barca conceding, even though, Ter Stegen he's been there for most of the early goals, most of the first minute goals Barcelona have conceded. Peña has only conceded 2, and in total I think Barca has conceded 5 times during the first minute of play, which for me it seems absolutely crazy that this is a stat that we're having to wrestle with. But if there was one thing that you could point out to me, which I would say is the biggest glaring error, that if Barcelona fixed right now, they would be 50% better off in the matches that they play. It's that issue of conceding pretty early on, of conceding during the first minute, conceding before the 10th minute. Like, I think it's even double. I think it's about 9 times or something, or 13 times Barcelona have conceded before the 10th minute this season. That's absolutely crazy. Granted, 2 of those came in one match against Real Madrid, but like, that's still crazy. It's still an embarrassing statistic for a team like Barca. Now, for here as well, maybe I move on to what has been good about these matches that we've seen Barcelona play the past couple of days, including Unionistas, which is that the team is able to come back. That's a good thing. Okay, don't get me wrong. Anytime a team goes down and they have to pick themselves back up, and they're able to not only get level but also get ahead in the match, that's a good thing. Why is it a good thing? This never used to happen. Before Xavi Hernandez came along, Koeman era Barca, do you remember that? I mean, were some of you even there? Sometimes I wonder, whenever, people get too reactionary over, some of these performances we've seen this season. Like, were you man really there for the Ronald Koeman era? Because do you remember what would happen whenever FC Barcelona would go even just a goal down in a game? The kind of panic that would set into the team, and now the inevitable second and third goal probably were not very far off. This is different. That's not what's happening with this team currently. If there's one thing that we can definitely put down to Xavi to say he's changed the mentality of this team in one way, is that this team is able to come back. They're able to concede the first goal and still go out and make a plan and get back into the game. We see that happen quite a lot. Of course, we have to see it happen quite a lot because they concede early goals quite a lot. But, it's like circular logic at some point, but you get the point here, okay? They're able to come back, and that's a good thing. That's a sign of a positive mentality. And even more of a bigger sign is how often that they're able to score late goals now. Bilbao probably got away with one, okay, last night, Wednesday night. They got away with one because that's a game in which Barcelona could have easily won it right at the death, and they could have actually ended up winning 4-2 with, once again, another player scoring a hat-trick. Okay, this isn't to take a shot at Lamine because, at the end of the day, if a kid isn't able to put away a chance, it happens. He's a kid. He's learning. Okay, but man, this kid though, I mean, I guess I'm just going to go ahead and just talk for a little bit here about Lamine Yamal and about the performances that we've seen from him back to back now against Betis and against Bilbao, matches during which he ended up playing the entirety of them, which I don't think should have been the case, but it's one thing. I guess maybe you could say a bit of desperation has set in on the part of Xavi, and it's being rewarded in a way because of the caliber of young players that he happens to have at his disposal, okay? So we're looking at Lamine, we're looking at Kubarsi, we're looking at Hector Fort, you're looking at Fermin Lopez. These 4 youngsters right now get a place on the bench minimum for any team right now in Europe. I mean that, okay? If you think I'm overhyping them, watch them. That's all I'm going to say. Watch these kids play and tell me that those guys, at the bare minimum, don't make the bench for any team in Europe. That's how good the level of young talent that Xavi has at his disposal. And to his credit, even though I did say maybe he was a bit desperate, but to his credit, like, he didn't have to start Pau Kubarsi against Real Betis, but he did. And it was the correct choice. It paid off for him. That's something which I think is also, overlooked here in all of the madness of the fact that Barca are going to go trophyless this season after they won 2 trophies last season, which for me, it's like, guys, we no longer have Messi and Iniesta and Busquets and Xavi as the spine of our team, you cannot realistically expect to win all of the big trophies every season, especially when other teams in La Liga are actually playing well. Atletico right now is one of the best teams in Europe. Athletic Bilbao as well has been one of Europe's form teams since like about August or since about September. They've been, on a bit of a run. They've been getting good results. It was really a shock when they lost in La Liga to Valencia just this past weekend. So there's that as well. But anywho, I'm supposed to be raving about the youngsters at this moment in time, which is one of, the positives that I've seen from these two performances by Barca. And in particular, we have to give space to that 16-year-old kid who continues to boggle our minds with the crazy things that he can do on the ball. Lamine Yamal, I mean, Betis was pretty good. He created a lot for Barca in that game. He was literally being double teamed by the end of the match, and they still couldn't stop him. And that was the case as well here against Bilbao. Keep in mind, we're talking Bilbao here, okay? Personally, I thought maybe this would have been one where you'd have, sat him on the bench until, the 60th minute. Because, Bilbao are a physical team. They, and I'm not just saying this to, fit into that whole, Basque stereotype of tough, rugged players. No, Bilbao can be a very physical team in the defensive half especially. I mean, have you seen Yuri Berchichi? That guy is built like a brick house. Okay? And funny enough, that's what Lamine took advantage of, because he was twisting this man up in knots like he's not some kid's father, like he's not old enough to be Lamine's father. Seriously, Lamine Yamal, that was just breathtaking performance from him against Bilbao and against Betis. I realize that the one against Bilbao probably won't get praised as much because, of course, Barca didn't win. And, of course, he did miss those two gilt-edged chances towards the end. But, I mean, if you just look at the goal he scored, absolutely brilliant stuff. That's the kind of stuff which they tell you you can't teach that to a player. You're going to hear it from, one of those commentators in the Premier League, like, hey, I tell you what he did out there, what he did, you can't teach that to any player around the world, yeah? It's just something that you're born with, yeah? You're born with that, yeah? That kind of thing. It's not, I think, a crime to say that probably the last time we had a talent that was this good at such a young age, it was either Bojan Krkic or Lionel Messi. Yeah, and yes, I'm throwing Bojan Krkic in there because, trust me, Bojan Krkic was that guy when he was a teenager. I've talked about him on a lot of occasions in the past. You can check out the catalog. In particular, check out the episode where I talked about, Lamine and Gavi needing to be protected. Lamine is proving to me, though, that defenders in La Liga might need to be protected from him, and Xavi is going to have to do that. Xavi is going to have to manage his minutes very cleverly, very wisely. I think João Felix is due a start here or there. And, man, I just realized I haven't even spoken about Robert Lewandowski right now, huh? Anyway, I'll get back to this. I think he deserves his own special video. I did give him a special video sometime last season when people were accusing him of becoming what he actually is now. And, I defended the guy then because the stats were in his favor then. So we'll get back to it and we'll see what the stats look like now. Anywho, Barca is getting ready now to face Villarreal, which is what we're going to have to look forward to. Of course, it's Barcelona at home, and Villarreal should be a winnable game for Barcelona. So the only question is, one, is Barca going to give up a goal within 1 minute? And two, are we going to see the same kind of mistakes at the back, with Araujo, with Koundé, with our boy Iñaki Peña? Because depending on how all of that goes, it might dictate the outcome of the match. Now, I think Barcelona should continue their current trajectory from the past two matches and as far as performances improving, because basically you can't switch around that midfield, okay? It picks itself right now because of injuries, And because you've got three other youngsters who you're forced to start, like, Kubarsi is going to have to start, Yamal is going to have to start, and right now so is Hector Fort, because, we saw Balde tore his hamstring and is out for like 6 weeks. So, and a shame as well, because Balde had also been on this upward trajectory. His last three performances had all been quite good. Anywho, we look forward to what Barcelona is going to do against Villarreal. There's no saying for sure, of course, but like I said, I expect the performances to continue to be on the up. Hopefully, Robert Lewandowski can, find himself in this new team dynamic, because right now, I think it's not a stretch to say that Lamine is starting to run this team, and that's both frightening and wonderful to see. And it's frightening because at the end of the day, he's still a 16-year-old kid, and you see what that means with those two chances that, he missed against Bilbao. At the same time, it's exciting because, honestly, there's nothing I love watching more than a youngster just come into the first team and just dunk on fully grown adults. There's just a beauty to that. All right, so aside from that, I don't think I have anything else that I wanted to say or get off of my chest. I should be able to give you a match review for this Villarreal game, so if that's the case, I'm going to see you then. I hope that between now and then I can fix the situation with these Gucci bags I have underneath my eyelids, because my sleep has just been terrible. It's been murked. Not been getting enough rest, so hopefully I will this time. And if I do, then, well, I'll see you again very soon. So thank you all for tuning in. Have a great day, and Forza Barça.